When you're doing online marketing and you have assets like websites, landing pages, sales pages, and they aren't converting at all, or they aren't converting as well as you'd hoped, then it can be really helpful to be able to collect insights around how people are interacting on those pages so that you can start to put together hypotheses around what needs to be optimized, what do you need to change, where are people falling off, what could be broken, right? So today I'm going to show you how to ethically spy on your visitors using a tool like Hotjar. Now, Hotjar lets you capture and record on-page analytics. So it helps you see more deeply into what visitors are doing on the page to help you make better decisions when you're optimizing. Now, before you get all squirmy and your ethical question comes up about spying on visitors. So the reason I say this is how you ethically spy on visitors, because you can't really identify a person based on like what I'm going to show you. So you can see things like where do they scroll? Where does their cursor go? You can tell when they click on stuff. But you can't tell things like when they input forms. You can't read that information. That's blocked out by Hotjar. So you can't see what their name is or what their phone number is and those kinds of things. But it's nothing that you can collect that helps you pinpoint a specific user. So in a sense, it's spying, but not in a way that violates people's privacy, right? Because you can't match a recording or a heat map or anything to specific people. But it does help you collect a lot of useful data to see how people are using your website. So I'm going to show you the two core features that I have used when optimizing websites and sales pages specifically to help me make better decisions about what to change to get better conversion rates. Whether that's sales, whether that's leads, whether that's signups, doesn't matter. It'll help you see how people are using the pages so you can make better decisions to get more of what you want. You're probably familiar with this first one. It's been around a while, and that is a heat map. Now, heat maps can be helpful to put on really important pages. So if you have a sales page that you are testing a new funnel, you have a sales page, or you have a sales page that you're optimizing, or a funnel that you're optimizing. You can set up heat maps on that sales page. As part of that funnel, if you have core website pages, like a core blog post sending to your funnel, or if you have some sort of registration page, if you're doing a masterclass or something like that, and you want to see how people are interacting on your page, then you want to use heat maps for those core pages. So another use case is if you have a website and let's say you're selling services and you want to make sure your services page is doing the work it needs to do to bring in leads, then you would want to set up a heat map on your services page. So those are some ideas of how you can use heat maps. So the usefulness of a heat map is to see more collective data on how far people scroll. And in Hotjar, you can also see where they click. So you can see here we have some options. Where do they click? How far do they scroll? And you also can track movement. You can see how many people are visiting on specific devices. You can see I have a lot more desktop visitors than I have mobile. So that's useful when I'm building out pages. I know that I should optimize for desktop visitors and not mobile visitors. So if I'm on the click view here, and you can see this is set up for a sales page that I have that I'm optimizing ongoing. And you can see that I'm seeing where people click. I can see how many people click. So they're clicking on icons. They're clicking on headlines. You see here, this is a headline. And it's surprising because people click on things you wouldn't think they would. You'll see lots of clicks on images. You'll see clicks. See right here, we have 7 clicks on this image. So it helps you learn about what people are clicking on. In some instances, you may need links in certain spots, or you may find out that you need to de-emphasize something because it's detracting from the main goal. You can see which buttons get the most link. Let's see what we see here. See, people have clicked on this testimonial here, and they've clicked on this section that's about overcoming a big worry that people have in this area. So we see in this heat map that's relatively new, we don't have any clicks on the buttons, but we have clicks on other things. So that's an interesting insight that we'll want to figure out how, like, why is that going on, right? So that's the click view. And if you switch over to the scroll view, you can start to see, and let me move my head here so you can see like the the color coding, you can start to see like where people get lost. Now, of course, most of your visitors are going to at least hit the hero section. So it's going to be the hottest, as you can see here in the color coding bar. And then you can start to see where we get to people falling off. And we're already here at the green. And if you hover on parts of the page, you can see a percentage of the visitors that reach a specific point. So that helps you start to see where people are falling off and, what sections of the page need attention, right? Maybe you should work on the messaging, or maybe you need to get to the point faster. So that's how this kind of heat map, scroll mapping can be useful when thinking about improving your messaging. The second feature I'm going to show you are recordings. And honestly, I use recordings the most when I'm optimizing pages because I want to see what visitors are doing when they land on a page. I want to see what that flow looks like, what they click on, what they go back and read, those kinds of things. So with the free version of Hotjar, you can manage up to 300 recordings, which is plenty for a new website or a new domain that doesn't have a lot of visitors. And you can set up recordings to record 100 at a time. So you'll basically do, 3 snapshots to get 300 recordings, and then you can delete recordings that aren't useful and then start a new snapshot. So it's really easy to use the free version, and then, you can upgrade to get a lot more features and a lot more like recording power if you use one of the paid plans. Now, recordings are going to record individual sessions. So you're going to be looking at a lot more qualitative style data. You're going to see what individual visitors are actually doing. You can filter by user. You can filter by the pages that they land on or where they start or where they end. And you can do that through the filter settings here. You can filter by the number of actions they take. How many times did they click or resize or move to another page or things like that. You can filter by the number of pages that they visited, especially if you want to see what like your heavy users are doing. So if you want to prioritize like people who come and spend time on the site, then you can filter by page number. So who is clicking on the most pages, and that's if you're doing a website, or who is spending the most time on a page or on the site in a session. So I usually start there when I'm optimizing because those are the people who are interested enough to poke around, right? So they usually give me more valuable insights. You can also filter by device, and there are some other options as well. When you go into a recording, this is what it looks like. So if they were on a mobile device, it will look like a mobile device screen. And if they were on a desktop, it will look like a desktop screen. And all you do is play the recording. Now I'm going to play just a snapshot of this recording for you so you can see kind of what happens. Let me start over here and click play. So you can see here, I've got it slowed down just a little bit so I can capture more insights. You can see that they're scrolling, and then they come to a image gallery here in just a second, and they start clicking through pictures. So that's useful for me to know that people actually click through the gallery images. So I need to make sure the gallery images are the best samples of work for this business. Now, other things I've learned specifically for this business, I'm able to test, which pages are most important. So are they clicking on pricing first, services first, about first, contact first? What do they go back and read again? So, I've learned from some recordings that people go back and read the part about the founder. I have learned that people, highlight and copy and paste the contact information. So that was an assumption I had that I wanted to test out. So, on this website, I put up the email address and the phone number underneath every button because I had an assumption that people weren't clicking the buttons. They were actually saving the information or copy and pasting it into their phone so they could call. So that was something interesting that I saw that I was actually right about, that people were copying and pasting the website and the phone numbers and not clicking on the buttons. So those are just the types of insights that you can glean from using Hotjar recordings. Using Hotjar is incredibly easy. To get started, you just start your free trial account, and there is at least at the time of recording this, there is a free account that's still available. And of course, you get more limited features. I think you can have up to 3 heat maps, and you can, for recordings, you can do up to 300 recordings, and they do snapshots of 100 recordings, per snapshot. And then it kind of limits like what you can choose. So you can't choose specific pages. You just have to record all visitors. You can still do a lot and try a lot with Hotjar that'll help get you started. And then if you're a big into optimization and you need more power, then you can do a premium account. Now, to get started, once you have your free trial account or your paid account, depending on like what your needs are, all you do is set up your tracking code. And you can see here at the top, I've got this tracking button. And so you'll want to copy and paste your tracking code into the head of every page you want to track. And so you can collect that feedback. So just follow the instructions that Hotjar gives you and then verify your installation. And so it'll let you know if, yes, it recognizes the code, so that you know that you are going to be recording those snapshots of recordings and the heat maps. To set up a heat map, all you do is go to the heat map section of your dashboard and click the button New Heat Map. There's about 3 or 4 steps. I can't show you those because I already have 3 heat maps set up, and that's the limit on the free account. But it's 3 or 4 steps. Just you follow the instructions really simply, and you want to make sure that if you're using the free plan and you only get 3 heat maps, that you choose the most important pages. So whether it's a sales page or a services page or an application page, or maybe it's your homepage if you're trying to optimize your homepage traffic and send them to the right places. So make sure you choose those pages with intention. To set up recordings, you do the same thing. Go to the recordings part of your dashboard and click the record visitors option. Now, it might let me show you this because I'm not full of recordings yet. So you can see here, it's got 4 steps. In the basic plan, you can only do 100 recordings at a time, and you can save up to 300. So you can do, basically 3 different recording sessions. So I recommend, if you're using the free plan, you go through and delete all the recordings that don't matter periodically when you're, doing some ongoing optimization. So things like, I'm not optimizing my blog. So anything that's hitting the blog and only hitting the blog and not hitting any important pages, I delete those. I don't even watch those because that's not important right now. So that's how you can, be more strategic with your use of the free recordings that you have. And of course, if you have a paid plan, then you can do a lot more recording, right? The second step is that you'll choose the page. Now with the free plan, you can't really specify which pages you want to record. So that's a really valuable feature that would be a reason that I would upgrade, is so I can record only specific pages. So you can see here, that's an option in the plus, but for the free plan, you just record, all pages. Any visit to any page starts a recording. Once you've selected that, then you can, have a few options. So can you only record, click, and scroll sessions? So people who actually do things. So I have that selected because I don't really care about recording bounces. Only people who are on the site for more than 30 seconds. So if I'm optimizing for people who actually use the site, then that's the ones I want to watch. And then can you record keystroke data? So most fields, like I said, are blocked out. So I haven't really seen yet how this is useful. I do have it selected just in case I find something useful. But for forms, for names, for phone numbers, for email addresses, all of those kinds of things, you can't see those. It shows as like little asterisks. So you can see them inputting the field, but you can't see what the field is. It just, shows the little star asterisk in the place of all of the fields. And then once you've selected all your settings, all you have to do is start your recording. And that's it. It's really simple. Once you have recordings, you can see here I have quite a few recordings stored that I haven't watched. You can see that because they're still green. You can filter by, a date range, like for the last 30 days maybe. You can filter by the page that they visited. So if they visited a specific sales page, and that's how I've been doing the sales page optimization with the free account, where did they land? Where did they exit? You can do country if you want to focus on people who are in, let's say you serve mostly the United States. If you want to focus on those users specifically, then you can filter by country. You can filter by people who spent more than 2 minutes on the site, right? That's duration, or people who visited more than 3 pages or more than 1 page. I use page count a lot to filter people out. So if they visited the blog and they only visited one page, then I just delete those. So I'll filter those out and then delete all those so they don't take up space in my recordings kind of archive. And then here you can see you can filter by the ID, which is not that useful unless you're keeping track of specific recordings and you want to go back and watch something. But then you could just favorite it and filter by favorites. You can filter by device type, browser type, or operating system. And of course, you have a lot more options if you're paying for the business account. In a nutshell, that is how you ethically spy on website visitors and on landing page and sales page visitors so you can collect those insights you need to make better decisions when you're trying to get more conversions out of those sales pages, out of those websites, or when you're trying to get better conversions. Never go into optimization blind. The tools are available out there for you to collect those on-page analytics so that you can make better data-driven decisions. Happy optimizing!